When they first come through the door,
show me the money!
And that's it. That's it. So, KD, we'll see what happens here next week. Free agency is going to open up in about a week and a half, so about 10 days, and we'll be talking about what KD has done and what he hasn't done at that point. Next up is the NBA awards. So the NBA awards came up and went this past week. I don't think there was a big surprise when it comes to the NBA awards this year. You had the MVP, you had the sixth man, you had the most improved, you had defensive player of the year, coach of the year, all this stuff. You had all these awards that was up. So the first one, obviously, we're not going to go through all of them, but the first one was most valuable player. I don't think anyone was really surprised, but I shouldn't say anyone was surprised, but I had Giannis going as the MVP, and he took that title away from James Harden this year. And a lot of people are going to say, look at the year James Harden had, look how he scored, look at this, look at that, and they are absolutely right. This is the how shall we say, the bad part. When it comes to giving out these awards, is that both parties were well deserved of the award. I don't think anyone got robbed of the award. So I look at it as, you had to make a decision. It was probably, hair strands, of a decision, for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, you got to look at what Giannis did. And plain and simple, it's the most valuable player. So I know a lot of people going to say, is it to the team? Is it to the league? What is it? What is the most valuable player? And to me, it is to the team. What does he, and both, if both guys are going, not one of these teams is going to the playoffs. But with Giannis, he went to another level. He went from being a 7th-seeded team, the Milwaukee Bucks, and granted, Coach Budenholzer had something to do with this as well, but he went from a 7th-seeded team in the Eastern Conference to the best record in the NBA. That was because of him. He improved his defense. He improved his offense. So I don't have a problem with Giannis getting the award. I really don't. Rookie of the Year, Luka Doncic took that over DeAndre Ayton and Trae Young. No surprise there. Trae Young came on at the end. DeAndre Ayton had a good season. But what I was talking about during the NBA draft was Luka Doncic was the most NBA-ready player that was in that rookie draft because he had already played professional basketball. So while DeAndre and Trae was, earning their stripes, if you will, or they were, learning to be NBA players, to be professional players, Luka already had a little bit of an insight to that, and to me, that's why he won the award. He was the most prepared. He was already prepped, for the job. So when he got in there, he hit he didn't hit the ground just running, but as far as in comparison to the other rookies, he hit the ground running. He averaged, I think it was like 21 points a game. As a rookie, he obviously is going to be the guy that's taking over for Dirk. He is going to be the franchise, even though that they have Porzingis there. I think he will be the face of the franchise. And he's lived up to the hype. Trae Young, DeAndre Ayton, they're going to be serious players in this league. So don't think that because Luka won this just puts him at some level where DeAndre and Trae Young can't be. They can be impact players just like him. They can be franchise players just like him. It's just taking them a little bit longer. Six-man award went to Lou Williams. This is his 3rd time winning it. I think the brother, led the team in scoring coming off the bench. His teammate Montrezl Harrell was in it as well. And Domantas Sabonis, which is, his name is Sabonis. I'm not even going to say he's the son of whoever because the man has his own name. So we need to respect that. From the Indiana Pacers, was up for the award. But, when you're leading your team, coming off the bench, that says something. And when you put up big numbers in small increments like Lou Williams did, you can't help but give him the award. So that's a no-brainer. You didn't even really have to talk about that. NBA Defensive Player was Rudy Gobert. He is a second-time winner on this. Giannis was up for this as well as Paul George. I think Paul George, he fell because he had an injury, and that will hurt you, no pun intended, in getting an award because you miss games. Giannis was up there with Rudy Gobert, but, hey, Rudy is Rudy, and he's not a Rudy who at all. You come in that middle, you come, into his paint, you got to deal with him. And a lot of guys had to deal with him, and it didn't work out the way that they thought it would. Most improved player, I love this. Pascal Siakam, a guy who that a lot of people didn't know about, I didn't know about, really didn't hear about, and he just came out of nowhere for the Toronto Raptors. De'Aaron Fox and D'Angelo Russell was also up for this. I thought D'Angelo Russell had a chance at winning this award, but I think the reason of D'Angelo being the number 2 overall pick and them knowing him, somehow that kind of hurt him, in winning this award. But he had an amazing season because you could argue that he should have been most improved player because he is the person that made the All-Star team, not De'Aaron Fox, not, Pascal Siakam. So that could have went back and forth, but they gave it to Pascal, so I'm not going to have a problem with it. NBA Coach of the Year went to Mike Budenholzer once again. This is his second time winning this, and this is his second time having a 60-win team in the Eastern Conference. It was originally with the Atlanta Hawks. They won 60 games, and they made it to the Eastern Conference Final, and he won Coach of the Year. And now he had the Bucks. And the reason I don't have it, because Mike Malone did an awesome job for the Denver Nuggets. He was up for this. Doc Rivers seems like he's always up for it, every other year for the LA Clippers. Let me talk about them first before I go into Mike Budenholzer. Doc Rivers, they were trying to a certain degree to change their, I guess, their fortune, if you will, or going in a different direction with the LA Clippers by trading guys like Tobias Harris, and it's just like, what are you doing? You guys don't want to make the playoffs, and they still made the playoffs, and they still gave Golden State, a run for their money, and they, came back from a 31-point deficit in the playoffs. So the Clippers, I see why Doc Rivers is there. Mike Malone, one of the youngest teams with the Denver Nuggets, and I told Paul Millsap, he's a smart guy, man. When he goes to teams, somehow, some way, these teams do well. But young team, Jamal Murray, Jokic, on that team, and they surprised a lot of people, finished second in the Western Conference. I don't think at the beginning of the year, if you had asked anyone or told anyone that the Denver Nuggets was going to be the second, best team in the Western Conference, I don't think anyone would have believed you, on that. So props to Mike Malone. But why Mike Budenholzer has won this is because here's the thing. I just talked about Giannis being the MVP and what they were the previous year. They were a 7th-seeded team with pretty much the same roster coming into this year, except they had, I think Brook Lopez got added this year. They might have added one other person that I can't even think about right now. But they essentially had the same team that they had last year. And they spiked to 60 wins. Now, if you go and you get 2 All-Stars or something like that to go with Giannis, and then y'all spike to 60, yeah, I mean, you're going to give the players probably a little bit more credit than you are going to, to the coach. But he basically took what they had and turned them into a championship contending team for this past year. And you have to give him credit. I told you he saw something at the beginning of the year when I said him and the Hawks mutually separated. He saw something there at Milwaukee because as soon as he left Atlanta, he was already being introduced as the head coach for the Milwaukee Bucks. And he saw something there, and he saw what he could do with that team. He put his hand on it. He put his footprint on it. He put his hand, everything else that he could on it. and he almost got them to the NBA Finals. So Coach of the Year goes to Mike Budenholzer. So you had some other awards out there. NBA Basketball Executive of the Year, John Horst for the Bucks. Okay, that's a no-brainer of why he won. Teammate of the Year and Sportsmanship Award went out to Mike Conley. I've told people, and a lot of people already know this. Mike Conley is a class act, man. When you hear this brother speak, he never says anything venomous about anyone. He's always positive. He's always upbeat. He's always, being an example, a good role model, if you will, to everyone, not just kids, but to everyone. So I can see why he won these awards. It wasn't, any surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone because Mike Conley is a professional in every form of the word. And I'm glad he's going to Utah to give himself another opportunity to maybe make some noise in the Western Conference, and also, them trying to be a contender or be taken, even more serious than they already are serious with the Utah Jazz. So props out to Mike Conley for winning those awards, and props out to everyone else that won awards on the night. Props out to Robin Roberts. She won the Sacred Strong Award. I think the Lifetime Achievement. Lifetime Achievement Award went to Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. The Hustle Award went to Marcus Smart. NBA Cares Community Assist Award went out to Bradley Beal. So that deserves big props because we always talk about when athletes are doing something silly or doing something stupid, and we don't put enough focus on the athletes that do well in the community and just in general, and they stay out of trouble. So props out to Bradley Beal for that award too, and props out to the NBA for making those awards available for people to see and basically, appreciate. And I hope people appreciate it as well. So you listen to the Wait a Minute Show with your man Jelani JB Bodie. Is going down on a Wednesday. I am out of town, so I'm not in the ATL, but again, I am still coming to you to bring you your sports fix. So this next story, we'll do this, and then I think we may take a break. But baseball, I want to get into Major League Baseball. I think this was a very interesting story that was out there. That's a little bit of a head scratcher, for me. The Tampa Bay Rays that resides in Tampa Bay. And for those who do not know, Tampa Bay is in the state of Florida. And you might be like, well, Jelani, why are you, really breaking this down to the location of where this baseball team plays? Well, here's why. Because just, yesterday, their owner, Stuart Sternberg, he held a press conference and he was discussing something very different and talking about splitting of the home games and in two separate locations, one in St. Petersburg, Florida, and the other in Montreal. Yeah, up north. And so he's wanting to plead to the public that he wants them to have an open mind. And this is what he was saying about the whole situation, which I still find very weird. He said, in spite of our successes on the field and the development of a growing fan base across this wonderful region, we greatly lag behind the rest of the league, he said. We are at or near the bottom in every economic category in Major League Baseball. And this is being reported by Michael Bradburn from The Score. So, and he goes on to saying we are simply not well suited for a Major League Baseball team that needs to draw tens of thousands of people each of its 81 games to its ballpark, and to force that to happen here when the conditions are not right will be more than damaging to a team, to Major League Baseball, and most importantly to a community. And he goes on just talking about how it work out, and he was saying that part of the time, I think during the summertime, it will be in Tampa. Then as you go to the later part of the summer, you go into Montreal and all this stuff. I'm really lost, as far as like why someone would accept something like that. I have questions.